The stories of What Men Live By and The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind both are stories about those who overcome adversity and economic poverty. Before the stories take place, we can infer that the characters struggle greatly through poverty. We know this as the characters overcome it only in the story, so they must have been suffering from it previously. Furthermore, the characters sometimes explicitly say so. These are also characters that experience hardships previously and overcome them in the story. We can also apply what happens to the characters in the story and how they overcome it to real life, and how people who really struggle with these things find ways to rise above it. The first part is the background. In The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, the characters are in a rural African town that struggles with economic poverty and imperialism. Their town is starting to be corrupt, and they do not have enough infrastructure to support themselves. This seems dire, and while it is, the main character is very smart. He sees how his teacher's bike works, and can replicate that to make a windmill for his town to gain electricity. His actions show he overcomes adversaries, and how he prospers despite his situation. In What Men Live By, the main characters struggle in a lot of ways. The married couple fight a lot, and it's apparent when the man was an alcoholic before. He even buys alcohol with his last bit of money instead of bread or food when his customers don't have enough money to pay him back. The angel, Simon, was sent to earth by God after messing up in heaven and having to learn a lesson. However, the man and his wife start to gain business again, and Simon is able to rise back up to heaven after learning his lesson, showing how they can overcome adversity and even poverty. The next part is how the backgrounds of the characters show their financial poverty and how it relates to economic inequality. In The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, they are being affected by imperialism as they are poor. The rich don't want to help them and would rather keep them poor so they can work for them instead of helping them grow richer. They are in poverty because the rich decide for them to stay in poverty. It's only in the story that we see the characters realize this, and those who try to make a difference stand out. In What Men Live By, it's a similar issue. If your business isn't going well, you don't have a lot of money, and struggle to make ends meet, as the main character does. His customers can't pay him back, which means that he is struggling with cash, and he even buys alcohol instead of food. It shows that his town and him are very poor, and that's because that the rich are not supplying them with enough money. Furthermore, later on in the story, you can see that the rich man, when he comes in to buy shoes, has a demeanor about him where he's very rude and disrespectful, and even says that if the shoes that are made for him don't work for a year, that he'll kill the main character and Simon and whoever else helped create the shoes. It shows how the rich, despite having in their power, keep the poor poor and make themselves richer. Finally, how it relates to the real world and modern problems. The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind was a movie based on a true story. So the boy creating the windmill really happened, and it's still happening today. The Creating Windmills project in Africa is still being funded today, and it helps bring power to the internet and many places in Africa, despite their economic poverty and inequality with most other places. In What Men Live By, that was the situation of many people in the time period. It was hard to make a living, and the cold was deadly, as they lacked basic things that we have today, such as air conditioning or heaters. It was a dangerous time, yet many people still managed to overcome the adversity. Furthermore, there are miracle stories of people's businesses taking off and excelling, helping the owners live a prosperous life, such as Simon helping out the married couple to further along their business and make a lot of money. In conclusion, the background of the story shows that overcoming adversities is possible, and many people do it daily. Reading and watching stories about other people doing the impossible helps us do the same, and helps inspire us to make a change in the world and overcome our own problems. As humans, we should try to help each other and show that we are capable of kindness and empathy, despite so many other places showing we're not.